Clarion, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Tiny Mikado.
It's a Brooklyn sound maker.
It all started in the Bible, Deuteronomy 28. King James Version, you can check it. We're from Israelite. Oh yeah. And it shall come to pass. African slavery was made legal in the Spanish Caribbean in 1501. Slaving our mothers and fathers and to lose the lands. Many heroes died during the process. Puerto Ricans are part of Africans. They're trying to tear us apart, brainwash us, but we still Africans. Black is beautiful. Black is original. Black is beautiful. Hey, yeah. Black is beautiful. Black is hey, black is beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Black is beautiful. Black is original. Black is beautiful. Hey, yeah. Black is beautiful. Black is original. Black is beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Black is beautiful. Black is original. Black is beautiful. Hey, yeah. Black is beautiful. Black is original. Black is beautiful. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't forget where you're from. If you're black all around the world, Puerto Rico. You're black, your skin is worth more than gold. Diamonds. It's Clarion.
11 people have now died from coronavirus in the United States. The official number of confirmed infections has climbed to over 150. For weeks, True News has reported that health officials in New York State's Westchester County have been monitoring citizens who are in self-quarantine. There is now confirmation that the deadly virus has infected a family in Westchester County. A 50-year-old attorney in Manhattan who lives in Westchester County has been confirmed as the state's second infected citizen. Officials now admit that his wife, his 20-year-old son, his 14-year-old daughter, and his next-door neighbor have also tested positive for coronavirus. Doc Burkhart and Edward Zoll will give you shocking information about the county's frantic search for people who have had contact with this family. They'll be here in just a minute. First, however, I want to share with you a portion of an interview on CNBC with former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb and Dr. Matt McCarthy. Dr. McCarthy is the author of Superbugs, The Race to Stop an Epidemic. The book was published in May 2019. He's also a staff physician at New York Presbyterian Hospital, where he serves on the ethics committee. Dr. McCarthy is also an assistant professor of medicine at Weill Cornell Medical College. Dr. McCarthy and Mr. Gottlieb were interviewed on Monday on CNBC's Squawk Box. Mr. Gottlieb, a former U.S. government official, guarded his comments during the interview. Dr. McCarthy, however, spoke very bluntly about his frustration as a doctor with the U.S. government's poor handling of the coronavirus threat. Let's watch a segment of that interview. Doc and Edward will join me after this video.
Let me tell you the problem right now. Before I came here this morning, I was in the emergency room seeing patients. I still do not have a rapid diagnostic test available to me.
Well, that's easy to do, is it not? Is it hard to manufacture?
It is easy to do for some countries. What happened in the United States is that the CDC created a test,
Messed up a reagent.
sent a test out to 50 states, and then said, oh, hold up, don't use it, let us fix it.
How quickly
it's
can
now
we get
March.
on track now, Matt?
We hear that it's coming very soon, but I'm here to tell you right now, at one of the busiest hospitals in the country, I don't have it at my fingertips. I still have to call the Department of Health. I still have to make my case plead to test people. This is not good. We know that there are 88 cases in the United States. There are going to be hundreds by middle of the week. There's going to be thousands by next week.
So
and this is a testing issue.
What do you do with people in the emergency room if you can't test them?
Well, we call and we try to test. We isolate them. We have an outstanding team of infection control practitioners who know how to handle this, but they're hamstrung by the fact that we don't have a diagnostic test available.
Are people getting sent home? Because I read reports of that over the weekend.
We're not sending people home. We're making sure they get what supportive care we can give. But keep in mind, we now have this in New York State, right? The person who tested positive was only the 32nd test we've done in this state. That is a national scandal. They are testing 10,000 a day in some countries, and we can't get this off the ground. I'm a practitioner on the firing line, and I don't have the tools to properly care for patients today.
Well, we have Doc Burkhardt on Skype from his quarantine bunker, and Edward Zoll here in the studio. Doc, did you will be permitted to enter Bethlehem for weeks. In a rare event, Israeli and Palestinian Authority officials met Thursday to discuss mutual coordination of efforts to stop the spread of coronavirus in Palestine and Israel. Both sides agreed to cooperate on investigations of possible infections and to share medical information with each other. 4 cases of coronavirus have been confirmed in Bethlehem this week. The cluster of infections is centered in the Angel Hotel located near Bethlehem. The hotel is used by tourists visiting the city. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas issued a state of emergency declaration and ordered all Palestinian schools and colleges closed for 30 days. We will have more coronavirus news about Israel later in today's Godcast. Our top coronavirus news in America, however, is linked to Israel. The American-Israel Public Affairs Committee ended this week its annual conference in Washington, D.C. Over 18,000 Zionists attended the event to learn how they can more effectively promote Israel's agenda in America. Many influential American politicians attended the AIPAC conference, including Vice President Mike Pence, Senator Mitch McConnell, and Senator Charles Schumer. Now, the U.S. Congress Office of Attending Physician notified members of Congress of a possible coronavirus exposure that may have occurred among AIPAC delegates this week. The Office of Attending Physician notified the members of the House and the Senate after the office was made aware of a memo tweeted by AIPAC to Zionists who attended the conference in Washington. True News learned about the tweet last night. We immediately linked the possible coronavirus exposure at AIPAC to the Manhattan lawyer that we reported on Wednesday who infected members of his family and his next-door neighbor. Now, Doc Burkhart is presently inside his quarantine shelter, and Edward Zoll is here in the studio. Edward, last night, and by the way, Doc, welcome. Glad to have you there,
Good
Doc.
to be here, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Doc, I don't know who first came across it last night. Susan and I were headed to our vehicle last night after the Godcast, and Edward came running out the building trying to stop me, and he said, "You've got to read this." And I don't know if you found it or Doc, I don't know who was the first to come across this report, but AIPAC had tweeted out this coronavirus memo to everybody who attended the AIPAC conference, and telling them, hey, there was a possible exposure to coronavirus. The moment I read it, I said, my gut instinct says it's connected to the lawyer in Manhattan. And today, what we're seeing out of the New York newspapers and TV stations reporting is that's precisely the case. The man, the lawyer who lives in Westchester and has a law office in Manhattan, he's in the hospital right now. He's in critical condition. He spread the virus to his wife, his son, his daughter, and his next door neighbor. It was his neighbor who drove him to the hospital. But we now know that 11 people. He spread the virus to 11 people.
At least 11. That's the confirmed case right now. And in the case of AIPAC, it was spread through his attendance at a bar mitzvah of a couple hundred, reported 100 individuals in New York. Some of those individuals were the ones that came to AIPAC. And really, this is a byproduct of officials in Washington, organizational officials for this event, AIPAC itself, not taking coronavirus seriously. Everyone was trying to ignore it and carry on as if business can just be normal as usual.
But what about the politicians? The man in charge of the pandemic response, Vice President Pence, was there.
Oh, he spoke on the first day.
Spoken on the first day, shaking hands, meeting people. AIPAC bragged that 2/3 of the House and Senate attended the event.
Think about that.
2/3.
Wow.
Now, please don't draw conclusions that the Israeli lobby owns and controls the U.S. Congress.
Oh, they'll downplay that now, though, won't they?
2/3 of the House and Senate made their faces known at AIPAC. So we'll put that over on the side. That's another discussion. But two-thirds of the House and Senate were there and possibly exposed to coronavirus because a delegation of Zionists from New York City came to Washington, D.C., and they were they're linked to the Manhattan lawyer who has infected at least 11 people. So when New York Governor Cuomo said that they were looking for 1,000 people, I don't know if he is inferring that 1,000 people are connected to this man. I think he was. He was saying...
Yes, because the man was taking the subway bus, the train and the subway to work every day. So this is something that anyone on the trains on those days would have been exposed to. But in addition to this, he was in Manhattan. I mean, this is downtown New York City. On any given day, there's probably 50, 60,000 people walking the streets there.
Yeah, go ahead, Doc.
Well, we have a still of that announcement from AIPAC that we received last night, so our audience themselves can actually see this and for themselves. And it says basically, thank you for attending the 2020 AIPAC Policy Conference. We want to apprise you of a new development we learned of after the conference regarding coronavirus. Now, just right there, that should, give anybody that attended the conference pause as to, what's going on here? And so this went out to all the attendees of the AIPAC conference this week, which I don't know what the total number is, Edward, but it had to be
18,000. 18,000.
So this went out to 18,000 people. Now, that doesn't mean the 18,000 people contracted coronavirus, but that they have at least secondary exposure to coronavirus because they were part of this large crowd. They're extolling the virtues of Zionism.
You know, Doc, I really want to thank and praise Jesus Christ for using our enemies to revoke our press credentials so that we couldn't.
70% of the world's adult population could be infected.
Yes.
So in terms of addressing the numbers that may get people panicked, what can you tell us?
There are going to be millions of people dying, and I don't think there's any way to get around that. There's real reason for people to be concerned, and among those who are symptomatic, the risk of dying goes up further. This is qualitatively different from SARS and MERS in the sense that it is 10 times bigger than SARS already, or more, or about 10 times bigger than SARS, and it is way more widespread, and it's clearly not under control. This is it's worse than the one that we experienced in 2009.
Megan, Governor Larry Hogan said we shouldn't be panicking, but he did declare a state of emergency last night. What does that mean?
As of right now, 31 people in our state have been tested for the coronavirus. Of those, we now have those 3 confirmed cases of the virus.
We are working very collaboratively with the federal government and the CDC on the manifest of those passengers that disembarked in the state of California, particularly, as I said, those residents. And that sort of led ultimately to the conclusion that a proclamation of a state of emergency would be appropriate under the circumstances.
Despite officials telling them to stay calm, some people are stocking up on food, water, and cleaning supplies out of fear that this shutdown will go on for some time. Some say they're starting to panic.
While today's news may seem overwhelming, this is not a reason to panic. Marylanders should go to work or go to school just as they normally do.
Well, the underlying problem is that we've been in the cycle of panic and neglect that every country's been in historically. What concerns me is that this is a virus that is only 2 months old. We don't know it well. So I think we need to pray for the best, but plan for the worst.
Today's emergency declaration will hopefully give the county some much-needed muscle to fight coronavirus. But with today's emergency declaration, school districts will now have plans ready if schools are forced to shut down. Going forward, health workers are also recommending the cancellation of county gatherings of more than 50 people, meaning this gathering about something so serious could be the last county meeting in quite a long time.
This is Wrap the News. Joel 3, number 2. I will also gather all the nations, and I will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. Let my people go, says God. But America and the European nations is holding on. Ezekiel 28:23, for I will send into her pestilence and blood into her streets, and the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword upon her on every side, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Ezekiel 38:22. And I will plead against him with the pestilence and with the blood, and I will rain upon him and upon his bands and upon the many people that are with him an overflowing rain of great hailstones, fire, and brimstone. You, Gentiles, are in the judgment right now, and God will not spare nor have mercy on you until his people is returned back into the land. This is rap.
In this video, we're gonna play a Utah game, a Utah game, a Judah game. What we're gonna do is we're gonna read Hadabarim, chapter 34, starting at verse 1, and every single place it mentions, we're gonna type it in to Google Maps and see if we can find it in Utah. So the first place, it says, and Moses went up from the plains of Moab. So let's see if we can find Moab in Utah. So as soon as I click M, Moab is the first thing that pops up for Utah. So it takes me here. Let's click the image. Let's look around. Moab. Here. Why would this place, this desertous place, randomly be named Moab? Like, think about it. So it says, unto the mountain of Nebo. And when we type in Mount Nebo, it pops up for Utah. Let's look at the images. Now, would you look at this beauty? Why would this mountain randomly be named Nebo in the land of Utah or Judah or Judah? To the top of Pisgah. Now let's look up Mount Pisgah in Utah. And boom, just like that, it shows up. Let's see if we can get any images. So this is the only image they would give me, and it's from satellite view. But why would this mountain randomly be named Pisgah in Utah, Judah, or Judah? That is over against Jericho. And here we go, Jericho, Utah. It does pop up. And look, the land of the palm tree. And Jericho, Utah, right here. Remember, Mount Pisgah was right here. Mount Pisgah was over and against Jericho. Let me show you something about this Dead Sea, or this Salt Lake. It used to be much bigger. It used to be a sea. It's so salty that no type of animal can live in this water today because the pH level is too high. Do you see all this white area? That's the salt trails. That's where it used to be. It dried up a little bit. This sea was so big, it stretched all the way over here to the Pacific Ocean. So in the book of Jonah, Jonah was right here, but then the Most High called him to go to Nineveh, aka the city of sin. So he crossed over the sea, and then the storm came. They threw him in the water, but a big fish got him, and he turned his butt back to Nineveh, Nevada, and he went back to the city of sin, Las Vegas, to teach the people, to correct them, right? So that means Joppa and Tarshish are somewhere like over here. And the Most High showed him all the land of Gilead. So when I type in Gilead, it tells me it's near Utah, but when I search for it, Gilead still pops up in Utah. It's in Utah. I think Google Maps knows what I'm doing, and they trying to throw me off. But yeah, Gilead is in Utah. Unto Dan. So I type in Dan for Utah, nothing pops up, but Daniel does pop up. That's because Smith and all his boys changed these names of the lands. The Aboriginals, the indigenous, the Israelites of this land already had names for this land, but they changed it to Daniel. But either way, it's still a Hebrew name. Dan means judge. Daniel means judge of God in Hebrew. Now when I type in Naphtali, Utah, they're telling me it doesn't pop up. But if Dan is right there, then Naphtali, you know, through common sense, should be around somewhere around here. The reason I say that is because they try to set it up like that over there in the Middle East. They try to put Dan right here by a lake and Naphtali over here, but they could have just changed the name. See, it says, and all Naphtali. And yes, Naphi or Nephi, they changed it. Yes, it does pop up. So yeah, Nephi in Utah, Judah, it is a thing. It's a thing. And the land of Ephraim. So Ephraim, Utah, it pops up. It's a thing. Actually, it's one of the major cities of Utah. See, Ephraim, Utah. It's one of the major cities in Utah. Now, why would the tribes of Israel randomly be named in this place, and the mountains, and all the territories? That's weird, right? When I type in Manasseh, Utah, nothing really popped up, but it did just take me to this little area. But if this common sense, if Ephraim is right here, we know that Ephraim is the brother tribe of Manasseh. So Manasseh would actually be north of Ephraim, right? And all the land of Judah unto the utmost sea. So let's type in Judah, Utah, and see what we get. So they're telling us it's no match is found. Well, let's click search anyway. But the crazy thing is, it tells us there's no match. I think they know what I'm trying to do. But they still took me to a place named Golden Spike National Historical Site. And where is Golden Spike, you may ask? Unto the utmost sea. Remember, this sea used to be a lot bigger. It's just like the Dead Sea in the Middle East. Okay, you can float on it. You cannot sink in it. It's so salty. It used to stretch all the way to the Pacific Ocean.
The Lord said unto him, this is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over, not thither. So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord. And he buried him in a valley in the land of Moab, over against Bethporah, but no man knoweth of his speculary, whatever, unto this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eyes was not dim, nor his natural force abated. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the day of the weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And he buried him in the valley, Bethporah. Wow. And he buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, over against Bethporah. But no man knoweth of his speculary unto this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died.
So is there a Beth Peor in Utah? Let's find out. As you can see, it is listed as an option, so I might as well click it.
Yes, you're right.
And it told me no results found. But it might still take me to the area if I press search this area. And look where it took me. Arches National Park in Utah.
For the record, Jordan River is in Utah. Now let's talk about how when the earth was one before it separated through earthquakes. So what's so great about this is that we are in the motherland. And you know what? With that being said, I have a nice little song. But after that, I definitely want to show you what this is becoming. I'm telling you, the Most High is not playing with these Gentiles. The plagues are serious. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the Most High is destroying those who have confederated against Israel to make Israel a nation no more. And this is serious, folks. If you do not have true discernment, this is going to be really, really severe for you. This is not a time to be playing with the Most High. You either covered and abiding under the shadow of the Almighty, or you will be taken out by a plague. This is serious stuff. The Most High, okay, we do not live alone, but we do live not by bread alone, but the word of the Most High. Okay, so when the Most High blows breath in us, this is what's happening. Okay. The Most High giveth the breath, the Most High taketh the breath, is what we're seeing right now. Everything is through a breath. You breathe certain things in and you're done. Period. This is not to be taken lightly.
Cruise ship 50 miles off San Francisco, at least 21 on board testing positive for the virus.
Tonight, with the Grand Princess still circling off the California coast, concerns that all 3,500 people on board may have been exposed to coronavirus.
All passengers and crew will be tested for the coronavirus and quarantined as appropriate.
A city of 11 million, but it doesn't look like it. Closed off from the outside world, Wuhan is in lockdown.
Make no mistake about this. This is coming to you worldwide. They are not playing. United States, USA, in the motherland, we are officially being locked down. Any second now, if you are not living in spirit and in truth, you will be taken down in a shadow of a flash, just like so.
That's no trains in or out. Passengers are being kept away. The whole public transport network is shut, and SWAT teams patrol the streets.
New deaths on both coasts. Lockdown, lockdown, lockdown. The Italian government prepares to take drastic steps to contain the virus. As cases and deaths climb, a U.S. service member is infected, and the Pope cancels public appearance. Tonight, Italy's government is preparing to lock down more than 10 million people to keep the disease from spreading.
And since they were in a hotel, all the people that was in this hotel is being tested and examined by our health teams. If they have symptoms, viral symptoms, they're going to be applied our protocol. If they do not have symptoms, according to our protocol, they want to be free to do whatever they want. But we're going to need some days to test all these people. And this is a precaution measure that our experts think it's absolutely necessary to prevent expansion of the virus in Tenerife.
curse you. And what is it talking about? I will bless the Gentiles who bless the Hebrews. And I will curse the Gentiles who curse the Hebrews. And so the Gentiles, and I'm not saying all of them, took it upon themselves to curse the Hebrew by hanging them on a tree. Deuteronomy 21:23. For anyone who is hung is cursed in the sight of God. And so if you leave the body hanging all night, which they did, then they curse the person that hangs on the tree. And so they then become cursed for hanging us. Them and everything that belonged to them. And we have to just understand it. A lot of people find themselves getting angry because it seems like it ain't no light and no hope for Gentiles. But I'm showing you the light and the hope there. There is no light and hope for people who love to be angry at black people. And there's no light and hope for you because it is a balance system. I showed you that balance system, that whatever you sow, you're going to reap. Whatever you put in, you're going to get out. I will recompense, says God, your way upon your own head. I will give you what you put in. You put in evil, you're going to receive evil. And so let's get into it. Genesis 15:13. And he said to Abraham, and that's God, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs. So we're going to be taken out of Israel, and we shall serve them as captive slaves, and they shall afflict them for 400 years. So 1619 to 2019, August 20th, right? And so captivity is turned. So God states that, he states that when Israel come together and turn away from the evil and turn back to him and love him with all their heart, soul, and mind, that he would take these curses and he will place them on the Gentiles. And so we see that is happening right now. So God cursed us in the book of Deuteronomy, which we're going to get to in a minute. And we're going to show you these curses that he is placing on the Gentiles as we speak. So it says, the Gentiles shall afflict the Hebrews for 400 years, and the 400 years is up. And also that nation whom they shall serve, I will judge, so that you go into judgment after that 400 years. The judgment, the time of the Gentiles, and all of that is the same day. Joel 3:12. That the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, because it's a process. But there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So we know whom the nation is that afflicted us for 400 years. And Gentiles, you got to hear what God is saying. You won't hear what black people are saying. Black people will tell you right away, you afflicting us, and we tired of it. But listen to God. God is saying that for 400 years you afflicted us. We never was returned back to our homeland. We wasn't even told who we were. You know, what you do to the mind of a person who don't even know who he is. You know, you don't even know what that does to the mind, do you? So God is saying, let the heathen be wakened, you know, understand who he is and what's his doom, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. You're in the valley of Jehoshaphat, right? When Obama, the Gentile heathen, started the war in Syria along with Russia and the rest of them. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So China and all of these countries that's around the Mediterranean Sea, around Israel and Syria, all of those countries from Russia to all of these, they're in judgment right now. You guys got to understand what's going on. Put you in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down for the full press, the fast overload, for their wickedness is great. So you can think you're the most civilized creation, but God is looking at you as wicked. And it ain't how you feel, it's what God knows and how he feels. It ain't your will be done. It's his will be done. It's his kingdom come. You didn't create shit. You just got to understand it and know your place. A lot of Gentiles are high-minded. They don't know their damn place. They don't know how to be humble. Well, God is teaching you how to be humble now. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. So the affliction, but first, those who bless and curse us. When you hung us on the tree, you cursed us. You got to understand what happened. And God said he's going to do what? He's going to punish the generations for that. You know, and you're those generations. Obadiah 1:15. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathens. And then you got to understand what heathen is. If there is a Gentile out there, you know, and I don't know for sure, because just like I said, I don't watch your whole life like a TV station to say whether you believe or you don't believe. If you're acting like you believe, I'll list you with the believers. You know, you're not fitting in the category of heathen. A heathen is those who worship idols, you know, multiple gods, and things like that don't believe in a God. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as they have done. If you want to curse Israel, it shall be done back to them. What did you do? And what is he talking about? What did you do? What did you do to his people? And how did you live your life? Did you serve God or did you serve yourself? You know, people. To be seen of people. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. And so where's the coronavirus launched at? Right there in the throat, right? Exactly. When they cut off your head, they start at the throat, right? Exactly. Isaiah 14:9. Hell from beneath is moved for thee to meet thee at thy coming. So basically, the dead is rising. How? Because the earth is being risen from what? The volcanic eruptions, right? Activity, right? It stirreth up the dead for thee. See? Even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So now what? They're all coming together to what? To fight him who was on the horse. And you guys got to understand that too. Okay, so it says, behold a pale horse. And the rider is what? Death, right? And basically hell follows with him, right? And so the pale horse is the plague, the pestilence, the coronavirus, right? COVID-19, whatever they call it. And then hell is following. And so the dust is coming. We're in the dust cloud right now. You're breathing it in. It's causing the pestilence. It is the pestilence. It's the sickness, that dust. And it's causing pneumonia and upper respiratory failure, sepsis, and hemochromatosis, because it is iron oxide in that dust. Revelations 11:18. And the nations were angry at thy wrath is come. You know, you're not angry at Raptor News, you just don't have no sense. And thy time of the dead, and the time of the dead. And so that was the judgment that he gave to Satan, and he gave to the Gentiles, that they had a time, and this is the time of the Gentiles. And the time was till the dead are raised, that they should be judged for the way that they treat their people and the deal that you made, that let you have your fun and livelihood and do whatever the hell you wanted to for a time. And I know most people don't understand this. And that thou shouldst give reward unto thy servants, the prophets. And who are the prophets? The prophets only came through the Hebrew bloodline. There were no Gentile prophets whatsoever in history. And to the saints, and them that fear thy name. So that could be you, Gentile, small and great, and should have destroyed them that destroy the earth. Are you polluting and destroying the earth? Right? You got to know your place here. Deuteronomy 28:24. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. And so this is the pestilence. This is causing the sickness. the powder and dust. It is fine dust coming from heaven. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. Right?
Psalm 83. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Gebal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assur also is joined with them. They have helped the children of Lot, Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb, and like Zeb, yea, all their princes as Zebah, and as Zalmunna, who said, Let us take to ourselves the houses of God in possession. O my God, make them like a wheel, as the stubble before the wind, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name, O Lord. Let them be confounded and troubled forever, yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah, art the Most High over all the earth.
Revelation, where Jesus is seen opening a scroll sealed in 7 places. The 4th broken seal gives the identity of the 4th horseman. Beyond the death and devastation brought about by the first 3 horses and their riders, comes the next. When he opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th living creature saying, Come and see. So I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and the name of him who sat on it was Death, and Hades followed with him. In Matthew's Gospel, some of Christ's disciples came to him on the Mount of Olives looking for information about the end of this age and the beginning of the kingdom of God. Jesus gave several warnings about ongoing conditions that would typify the world's decline. And he warned not to be deceived into thinking it's the end when false messiahs, war, and famine disrupt the world. Now he gave a 4th condition, which, like the others, signals only the beginning of the process that leads to the end. He said, And there will be pestilences in various places. This parallels the 4th horseman's ride. His horse is gray-green or yellowish-green, like the color of so many who are sick and dying. The rider's name is Death, the death that comes from pestilences, epidemics, and plagues.
And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him was Death, and hell followed with him was Death, and hell followed with him. And I saw the beast, and the kings of the earth, and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse, and against his army.
It is like they are at war with the virus. All of society is mobilized in the fight against the virus.
I mean, a lot of people might be really surprised, if not sort of vaguely insulted, that you're comparing this to a war, World War II.
They're using metaphors that are derived from war, and it's because they have seen what this virus is capable of doing, what this virus is capable of doing, what this virus is capable of doing. They are at war with the virus, with the virus, with the virus.
When it comes to infectious disease threats, we have extensive capabilities and an international research infrastructure already in place that allows our scientists to anticipate and develop countermeasures against emerging infectious diseases. COVID-19 is the infection caused by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, and this is familiar territory for our team. Our labs have previously studied SARS and MERS, both of which are coronaviruses. They're in that same family. This is truly a whole-of-government approach. So certainly if one agency, one organization, if it's an industry partner, if it's academia, I think we're well nested and we're sharing information and collaborating so that we're able to leverage the right resources to bring a vaccination or vaccine candidate, as we've learned about today, across the finish line. So we're going to continue to collaborate in the fashion that we have, and we're going to work as hard as we can to find the right treatments, the right preventative measures, and certainly the right detection capabilities that are out there. Those are our three focus areas within the DoD.
Will ye render me a recompense? And if ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head? Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves, and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about, for their wickedness is great. And I will call for a sword against him throughout all my mountains, saith the Lord God. Every man's sword shall be against his brother, and I will plead against him with pestilence and with blood, and I will rain upon him, and upon his bands, and upon the many people that are with him, an overflowing rain, and great hailstones, fire and brimstone. Thus will I magnify myself and sanctify myself, and I will be known in the eyes of many nations, and they shall know that I am the Lord.
I mean, look at what's happening right now. They got robots out there spraying water and whatever else in the neighborhood, and basically they got robots administering a medication, and not only that, they have robots that are spying on you now. If you cough and go to the hospital at any time, you could be locked up. And not only you, they're going to ask you questions like how many people is in your household and where you work at, and they coming to get everybody. They are going to quarantine you, and people are dying in quarantines. People are having dreams that people are getting shot that cough. Also, people are getting acid poured on them until they just melt if they have the disease.
这一回去汉堡灭，他手就是他啃他的头的时候，
能看得动，
他是就是看得动，然后就是这个啃了之后呢，就一个塑料的嘛那个袋子，个盒袋子，就你妈一包了之后拉链一拉，他然后又套了一个你妈的，又是一个那个。好，那个塑料袋子啃了之后，他又把一层那个鬼子就像外头的嘛大棚子一个那个鬼子又把它一包4层，然后才是进那个鬼子嘛的那个。
他有没有强调啥子？
我怎么说你强调就是阳气？
那你们这是活人自己。
他那就我这一条，
我们活人就能拿到去烧啊。
烧啊的。
活的嘛。
我们看到结果，我隔壁房的也是这样的，我老婆，他完全没有担心，就烧了，开始烧了，
活的嘛，几个人都是那样的，等于是。
哎，我们就看着那个亲眼看着，我们在住院，我真是想到寒心呐，那真是一个心
I saw an angel standing in the sun. Cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, Come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great God, that ye may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, and the flesh of mighty men,
This is Rap the News. So let's do a recap. They are at war with him who rides on the horse. It is a pale horse that the Bible is calling it because it comes in a dust cloud. And that dust is falling to this earth. So in Deuteronomy, it is telling you that the dust falls to the earth like rain, and it causes the people to get sick. Then you go to Ezekiel 22, and this causes the pestilence. These lung infections and everything else that everybody is getting is causing diabetes, it is causing iron overload, it is causing so many things that happen to your body until you are destroyed, says the Bible. So we are living those end days, and this is actually really going down, and this is affecting the stock market, this is affecting your livelihood. Everything could be shut down if people in United States start dropping in the droves. No more truck drivers, no more grocery stores, no more gas stations. Everything is going to be completely shut down, and people are going to be too afraid to go to work. You have to understand the dire situation that we are in, and that this is critical right now, that you repent, stop sinning, and worship the one true God of Israel. This
Revelation 2. Unto the angel of the church of Ephesus write, These things saith he that holdeth the 7 stars in his right hand, who walketh in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. I know thy works, and thy labor, and thy patience, and how thou canst not bear them which are evil. And thou hast tried them which say they are apostles, and are not, and hast found them liars, and hast borne, and hast patience, and for my name's sake hast labored, and hast not fainted. Nevertheless, I have somewhat against thee, because thou hast left thy first love. Remember therefore from whence thou art fallen, and repent, and do the first works, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will remove thy candlestick out of his place, except thou repent. But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. And unto the angel of the church in Smyrna write, These things saith the first and the last, which was dead, and is alive. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty. But thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews, and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. And to the angel of the church in Pergamos write, These things saith he which hath the sharp sword with 2 edges. I know thy works, and where thou dwellest, even where Satan's seat is. And thou holdest fast my name, and hast not denied my faith, even in those days wherein Antipas was my faithful martyr, who was slain among you where Satan dwelleth. But I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed unto idols, and to commit fornication. So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate. Repent, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will fight against them with the sword of my mouth. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the hidden manna, and will give him a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth saving he that receiveth it. And unto the angel of the church in Thyatira write, These things saith the Son of God, who hath his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. I know thy works, and charity, and service, and faith, and thy patience, and thy works, and the last to be more than the first. Notwithstanding I have a few things against thee, because thou sufferest that woman Jezebel, which calleth herself a prophetess, to teach and to seduce my servants to commit fornication, and to eat things sacrificed unto idols. And I gave her space to repent of her fornication, and she repented not. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. And I will kill her children with death, and all the churches shall know that I am he which searcheth the reins and hearts, and I will give unto every one of you according to your works. But unto you I say, and unto the rest in Thyatira, as many as have not this doctrine, and which have not known the depths of Satan, as they speak, I will put upon you none other burden. But that which ye have already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, even as I received of my Father. And I will give him the morning star. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches.
Habakkuk 3, number 5. Before him went the pestilence, the dust, right? And then this is coming in Nibiru, or planet hell. Wormwood is coming in a dust cloud, right? The dust is coming, and it is the pestilence. And then after the dust come what? The burning coals, the brimstones, right? Meteorites. Joel 3:2. And I will also gather all the nations. I will bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people. How does God plead? He pleading with the pestilence. This is his way to tell you to stop. You know, that he will destroy you and all your nations easily, as you can see. And for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and part of my land. Everything is about how you treated his people. Whether you want to understand that or you don't want to understand that. Because I got people mad at me and I'm just helping your ass. You can't help nobody. You know. You really can't help people. They don't want no help. They get angry and bite the hand that's feeding them. Or, you know, because I'm feeding your soul. Your soul needs to eat this truth. Or else your soul will die. And people don't understand that either. Your body is nourished off of the land. Your soul is nourished off of truth. And it ain't anybody's truth. It is the actual truth.
He reached for the moon and found it within his grasp. The stunning advancement of rocket technology has put the entire heavens within our reach. In the course of this century, man will land on Mars. In the next one, on Venus. How will our astronauts be welcomed when they set foot on another populated star? As enemies? Or as gods? We know from recent history how primitive people react to their first confrontation with modern technology. During the Second World War, American soldiers were sent to certain isolated islands in the South Pacific to build airfields and military installations. When the war was over, they went home, and a very curious thing happened. The natives of these islands, isolated from the outside world, lived virtually in the Stone Age, until the Americans came and went. Very soon afterwards, the natives began making straw and bamboo fetishes resembling airplanes, crude landing surfaces on their islands to tempt the visitors back. The strangers had brought fabulous treasure with them from the skies. Tools, fantastic weapons, sky machines they'd never dreamed of. What else but gods could possess such superior knowledge? They didn't hunt or fish, yet they never lacked food. They came from heaven. They had to be gods. They must be lured back. The natives offered fiery sacrifices. They scanned the heavens, day and night, watching and waiting. However, the islanders had a new religion. A new cult was born from the encounter between a primitive people and visitors from a highly developed, technically superior society. The Russian scholars Kazantsev and Zaitsev proposed that all religions began in just this manner.
Against him, who? Gentiles, with pestilence, that fine dust particles that's coming down causes sepsis, and with blood, and I will rain upon him. See, first comes the pestilence, then comes the burning coals. First comes the pestilence, and this is what God is pleading with the nations with. For what? For my people, my heritage Israel. Let them go. Send us back to our own country. You know, we don't want to be here any fucking way. You know. And I will rain upon the Gentiles and upon his bands. We don't have militaries. Y'all do. And ain't talking about rock bands, he's talking about military. And upon NATO, that's upon the many people that are with him, the police, the FBI, the CIA, it is a war against y'all. An overflowing rain.
But we do have black people that get on the radio every day in white-owned companies, white-owned stations with white-owned sponsors that play the role of hypersexualized, hyper-criminalized male. I asked these advertisers, I say, I've got hundreds of songs a day that celebrate killing animals. Will you put them on your station? They said, no. I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about assaulting women and abusing kids. Would you put them on your station? They said, no. I said, I got hundreds of songs a day that talk about murdering blacks. Would you put them on your stations? They said, well, that depends. Depends on what? Who it's done by and who it's branded for. Because if we can get black folks to sing about it and we can brand it for our youngest black audiences, I think there's money to be made. I think there's American appetites to see these people that way. I said, how can you say that? They said, well, look, it's what these artists know. It's what they, black people, create. It's, matter of fact, our surveys say it's what they want to hear, which speaks of a sickness. How do we live in a society where somebody says, you know what, I'm inspired to write a song that celebrates murdering another person. And then a person says, I'd like to put that on my station. Another person said, I'd like to pay for it. And then there's people out here in the audience that go, I'd love to hear it, as long as it's black guys. Because even white people buy rap music, buy this type of stuff, because we know that when we want to hear about killing each other, we know who to turn to for that type of inspiration. We call it our music. We say we own it. White people buy more rap than black people. Yeah, but we're very careful to turn it down at the stoplight when other black people are there. Why? Because we know we're just pretending. For them, it's more authentic and real. I always ask the companies, what about your name? What about your brand? What about your value? And the largest radio company in the world said this: it's okay that we only have drug dealers on our black youth stations. We only have murders on our black youth stations. We support black charities. We give out water at the Martin Luther King parade. I think we've got it covered. We bought them off. Now, people get upset, the smartest guys in the room again. You're talking about censorship. I don't believe that. I believe in free art. Make whatever you want. I believe you should make music about anti-Semitism. I believe you should make music about killing dogs. I believe in this country you should make music about bashing homosexuals and driving them behind trucks. I believe you should make music about stringing people up on trees. I believe you should make music about killing whitey. I believe you should make all that music. But I also believe that in the mainstream marketplace, people should hesitate associating their name with certain content. You know, there's certain stuff you can't buy at the store. Certain stuff you can't get on iTunes because their brand doesn't want it. But if you want to hear black people celebrating killing black people, they got thousands and thousands and thousands of those things to sell you. I don't think it's about censorship. I think it's about American cultural hypocrisy. Because here's the truth. These black entertainers, they can't sing just about anything. There's some stuff that'll get them fired, and they get dropped, and they get fired, and they get slapped on the wrist, and they get disciplined all the time. Why? Because sometimes they step over the bounds. A very famous case is what happened with Rick Ross. Rick Ross is the Mammy Two Shoes, one of the many Mammy Two Shoes of our day. He's a black entertainer in a world carved out for him, and a role carved out for him by white entertainment companies. And one day he talked about, in the middle of a song that celebrated dealing drugs and killing blacks, he made a reference to date rape. And when he made that reference to date rape, that set social media on fire. That got 100,000 petitions in 24 hours. Hey buddy, date rape is no joke. That had white people standing outside of Reebok in New York saying, you better take this seriously. We're tired of a rape culture in America. One line in one song moved the masses. And you know what Reebok did? Did they stand by him and say, hey, we believe in freedom of speech. We believe in freedom of expression. It's just a song. Calm down. No, they fired his tail on the spot. The president came out and said, this goes against our high standards. He's gone against the values of our brand. Shame on Rick Ross. We're disappointed. He doesn't know how serious date rape is. And when I saw that, I thought, wow, how convenient. Isn't that amazing? But here's what really happened. It's not their brand, it's not their values. Rick Ross went off script. He was hired to get black customers, and they think that black customers go with black bait. And in America, black bait is the hyper-criminalized, hyper-sexualized portrayal of black people. And as long as he had sung about that, the stuff that got him hired, he still have a job at Reebok. But when he touched other sensitivities that affect us, he lost his job. See, the truth is, it's not they that need to change. It's we that need to change. We created the lies. We created them for our profit. We own the companies. We own the record labels. We own the advertisers, and we keep putting it out. And it's this that's got to change. I thought about it. You know what? I wonder if White Mike could get anybody's attention on this. So I stood outside of a Walmart. And I said, hey, I don't think killing cops and killing blacks is very cool. And you know what? It only took 7 weeks of Mike standing out there, and they wrote a letter and said, yeah, we don't think it's cool either. We're going to pull our name off of that. The largest retailer in the world had never considered that maybe their commercial shouldn't be right before or after a song about young black men being gunned down. And I realized this, that black murder is normal, but it should not be. And I realized the importance at the coffee table, at every headline, every pastor's gathering, every family gathering to say, you know what, these black lives matter. It's not just another black kid. These are human beings. I'm doing my best in every way, shape, and form. Talks like this everywhere I can go to say, you know what, I was born in a world where black murder was normal. My kids were born into a world where black murder is normal, but I don't want to die in a world where black murder is normal. Am I 5 years or 10 years away? I don't know, but I'm screaming as high as I can. Let's feel this pain and let's lift our voice to tell the lies. They are not criminals. They are not deviants, and their lives are just as important as ours. Thank you very much.
This place is a dope. We are royalty. We must go back to our place in Kiswana. No. We are staying right here. This is the motherland. Yeah, here we go for the motherland. Yeah, we gon' play it loud and put it chillin'. Yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building. Yeah, we gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We Baba, black and yellow shopping with a Sammy Davis cousin. Tried to dodge the industry, but now my name is buzzing. They all saying that I'm conscious. I say that it's nonsense. So I say I've been on since on had an on switch from Seattle, the rainy city where my mom lived. In Jerusalem, the golden city that was conquered, but still we moving onward. Motherland conquest, smell me like an armpit. Yeah, yeah, we gon' play it loud and kill it, yeah, yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building. We gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We robber. My mama told me that I read good. Been on my straight and narrow, but my history is the hood. Thank God today that we could buy a box of Cheerios and Kicks. I can even buy tricks. I'm no longer on WIC. EBT card rip in my passport lit. Stamped like a notary from every country that I went. Ain't a country like this from the others you've been sent. Black is beautiful. This gon' be the motherland hit. Yeah. Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it, yeah. Yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah. Yeah, we gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We baba, yeah, yeah, bounce, yeah, 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 bounce, yeah, 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 we bounce, yeah, 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 yeah. He said it's God's plan, but I'm God's man, yeah. I used to run with BGD, yeah. I dropped the B and put a O after the G, yeah. 6 points, still big up King B. In the synagogue, camouflage, but I can't wipe the skin off. I'm proud of it, it's loud a bit, but I'm not trying to crisscross. I done made it this far, hold it all in my heart. I hold my breath and brace myself when they take their socks off. Ain't no monkey business, cause ain't no monkeys in here. I know what you've been thinking, the black Abe Lincoln. Just wanted you to be aware, signing off as Mr. Black, Hitler's worst nightmare, yeah. Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it, yeah. Yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah. Yeah, we gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We baba. Yeah, we gon' play it loud until they feel it, yeah. Yeah, we gon' blow the roof off the building, yeah. Yeah, we gon' play that motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. Check it out now, motherland bounce. We baba.
You gotta take your hat off, man. Another one? You gotta take your hat off, brother. I can't cut your hair. Tell y'all ain't from around here. You need to leave them chains here. You ain't gonna make it up the block. Okay?
Is about how you treated his people. Whether you want to understand that or you don't want to understand that. Because I got people mad at me and I'm just helping your ass. You can't help nobody. You know? You really can't help people. They don't want no help. They get angry and bite the hand that's feeding them. Or, you know, because I'm feeding your soul. Your soul needs to eat this truth. Or else your soul will die. And people don't understand that either. Your body is nourished off of the land. Your soul is nourished off of truth. And it ain't anybody's truth. It is the actual truth that nourishes the soul. Ezekiel 38:22. And I will plead against him, who? Gentiles, with pestilence. That fine dust particles is coming down, causing sepsis. And with blood. And I will rain upon him. See, first comes the pestilence, then comes the burning coals. First comes the pestilence, and this is what God is pleading with the nations with. For what? For my people, my heritage Israel. Let them go. Send us back to our own country. You know, we don't want to be here any fucking way. You know. And I will rain upon the Gentiles and upon his bands. We don't have militaries. Y'all do. You ain't talking about rock bands, you're talking about military. And upon NATO, that's upon the many people that are with him, the police, the FBI, the CIA, it is a war against y'all. An overflowing rain of great hailstones, fire and brimstone. First the dust, then the pestilence, then the fire. So we are in the dust cloud, whether you see these fine particles or you don't. And I said to everybody, take a flashlight, go outside in the pitch dark and point it up at the sky and look at all the dust that's consuming you off the land. like God told you. Use some common damn sense. All this shit is real. Ezekiel 28:23. And that's another thing. If you don't believe it's real, why are you wasting your time listening? It's happening. For I will send unto her pestilence and blood into her streets, and the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword upon every side. That's how you judge. Death. And they shall know that I am the Lord. Ezekiel 14:19. Or if I send a pestilence into that land and pour out my fury upon it in blood to cut off from it man and beast. What does that mean? I will kill Jew and Gentile together if they don't listen to what I have to say. Deuteronomy 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of thy Lord, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. If you are Hebrew and you ain't following the commands, the pestilence is going to destroy you too. I have many of brothers and sisters and families and aunties and uncles and all of that they all gonna get destroyed. Many. Only a handful of people gonna make it out of this. We can get sick, but we ain't gonna die. God said he's gonna punish us in due punishment. So I can cough all damn day long. I shouldn't drop dead from this, right? But as the moment you cough, you're gonna drop dead. They said pretty much when you catch this, if you ain't dead within 14 days, then you can become immune to it. And so what does that say? That this pestilence, just like the meteorites, is coming down, that the fire, says God, is coming down to test every man's work, to see what it is. If the pestilence sent sin, basically the body is destroyed. And then if you don't know, this pestilence is coming down, it's destroying the heart. Look it up. Look at what it does to the body. It destroys the heart. The SARS virus was eating holes in your heart. Ain't that something? Anyway, if you don't observe to do the commandments which I command thee this day, all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And so, whether it don't matter what religion you in, I'm gonna tell you the truth about the religion. All religion points to the Torah. That is the truth about the Bible, and that is the truth about the Quran. It all points back to the Torah. Muslims will tell you that it don't, but it does. And it says that we gave the children of Israel the Torah for an inheritance, right? And then basically you have nothing to stand on if you don't hold fast by the law and the gospel and all the books that God sent, right? So we know this. And so we know what the Bible states. The Bible states the same thing, that basically if the Gentiles fail to go by the law, they will be destroyed, right? Jesus came back to what? To fulfill the law of the Torah and to preach that law to the lost children of Israel, right? So the Bible is there to what? Bring you back to the law. What did the Quran do? It gave you the law as an inheritance. Go look it up, you know, and people don't understand, but you can't get around the law. It doesn't matter what religion you in. You ain't getting around the law. And a lot of people try to get around the law and say, we don't have to go by the Torah. You do. You wouldn't even understand half of the things that's going on in this world if you didn't go by the Torah. Which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed will you be in the city, in the field, in your basket, in the store, in the fruits of your body, the fruits of the land, your animals, the flock of your sheep. Cursed will you be when you come in, and cursed when you go out. The Lord shall send upon thee, and it's coming down from heaven, cursing, vexation, and rebuke in all that you set your hands on. Everything you touch turns to shit until you be destroyed. Until what? You be destroyed. Until you perish quickly because of the wickedness of thy doing. What's wickedness? Where you have forsaken me. You can't say no to God. The Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee, and I told you how. Your lungs. You're going to breathe it in, and they're going to get stuck to you until we have consumed thee off the land, whither you go to possess it. Right? Wherever you go to possess the land, you're going to get consumed. Jeremiah 9:25. Behold, the days come, says the Lord, that I will punish all of them which are circumcised with the uncircumcised. So if you walk in hand with the sinners and the wicked and the Gentiles, you're going to get punished right along with them. This is what the book said. It ain't what Rap the News is saying. We're just going by the law. If we don't obey the law, we are cursed. Cursed is anybody who don't go by the law, who forsake the Torah. You got to understand that. And look what they're doing in the New Testament, making you forsake the Torah, right? Revelation 18:4. Then I heard another voice from heaven say, come out of her, my people, that you will not share in her sins and contract any of her plagues. Get the fuck away from them. Right? I'm saying black people move out here where I'm at now. You know, I'm seeing a lot of black people. And 10 times out of 10, they know they're Hebrew now. You know, and they looking at us to see if, you know we Hebrew. So anyway, this is anybody who treats God people bad, you getting ready to get destroyed right now. Anybody who curses God's people, you getting ready to get destroyed. Anybody who hates God's people, you will be hated. As you have done, so shall it be done to you. You got to understand that. This balance system. As you sow, you're going to reap. It is the truth. 100% the truth and nothing but the truth. And this is